I used my oven to burn wood slowly, having seen that charcoal burns hotter and longer. I made containers of clay with pictures drawn into them when wet. After they burnt in the oven, they were hard and sturdy to hold water, and the pictures I carved were permanently marked on them. My father used these pieces of permanently marked clay to trade with. He would give people these marked clay pieces for anything they might have that he wanted, promising that he would always redeem them as payment for his fire services. These clay pieces became a form of money that other people began to use. He became a banker and then a trader of all items that people wanted to trade. He became very wealthy. I experimented with fire and even burnt stone. I found that some rocks could be hammered to shape when red hot. One particular rock I heated red hot and hammered flat started to attract red sand dust like it was wet with water. I collected this red sand and heated them in the fire and made various shapes with it. They all stuck together like magic. When I balanced the thin pieces of it by hanging them from string, they all swung to the same position and pointed in the same direction. When they were turned to face different directions, they would spring back to their original direction. My father used this whenever he would get lost on cloudy nights. He would balance a piece of my magic wire and let it swing to this one position which never changed wherever he was. This allowed him to travel on starless nights. From this magic sticking material, I made many objects with many shapes. Some were very thin and sharp and were useful for cutting. Others were very thick and heavy and were useful for hammering. Others were like dishes that I used to melt sand in. I found that melted sand turns into a transparent rock that is very sharp and beautiful. I was able to polish a small piece into a pebble that focused bright sunlight into such a small spot that it would burn dried grass and start a fire. When I showed this to my father, he decided that instead of making clay pots to carry fire to his customers, he would instead just carry this transparent pebble I made. We later started to sell these pebbles to people working for us as fire starters in distant places. I became very rich and had free time to make many things. I made everything from toys and weapons to tools. I melted other types of rock. Some melted easier than others and had different properties of melting, hardness, and strength. I combined many metals until I found a few combinations that I found useful. I lived 40 years and had 10 children from 3 wives. One became a baker, and another became a jeweler. 2 became metal workers, one specialized in tools, and the other in weapons. When I died, I did not stay too long in heaven.